Welcome, everyone, to the Comic Sens podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Lamarck, and with me, as always, is Brett Chartrand. Brett, welcome to the pod.
Oh, thanks for having me.
I think we're actually pretty close to our last episode, so we're back on the high-frequency podcasting, but we had to come to everyone to do a show after the first round of the playoffs is in the books, and we can get our bets in for round number 2, so we're going to do a little bit of a playoff recap and put our bets in for the second round. But first, how you been, Brett?
I've been pretty good. Had a busy last week. There's some stuff going on at work. I work at the library, and we had a strike vote last week. Potential strike. Hopefully, it doesn't happen. We get what we want, but got a strong union, and we had a good turnout. So yeah, it's been kind of stressful, but yeah, things are looking up.
So you don't know if you're striking yet?
No, it was just to try to get a high strike vote, which we got 96% voted yes and like close to 80% turnout, which is a good sign. And then it goes to a mediator.
Yeah.
Just don't tell anyone. This is secret. Private information.
It's good.
Don't bring it to the press.
And you're striking. I think you told me this offline. You're striking because you want the ability to burn books, and they're not letting you burn books at your library.
Yeah, yeah, we want to let all the librarians burn, specifically the Harry Potter book,
right,
in the town square.
That's the witchcraft. Yeah. Well, good to hear that things are going well, and hopefully, I'm rooting for you. If it's a strike that you want, then I'll root for that. If you don't want the strike, I'll root for that. So I'm on your side, Brett. I got your back.
Yeah, I mean, if we go on strike, I'm going straight to City Hall.
You're taking it down, one man on a mission.
Just don't. You'll see a masked man goes on a rampage around City Hall.
Oh wow, this is how we're gonna get canceled.
What is that? A Sens jersey he's wearing?
He's a true maniac. Speaking of books, actually, in a podcast, I forget which episode, you had it was the episode when the Sens were doing horribly, so we talked about something else. So it could be any one of them.
Episode.
Exactly. You had brought up the fact that you were reading a book called Presumed Innocent.
Oh yeah.
And I said I would read that as well, and it took me a few months, but I read it to completion.
Oh, nice.
I was quite into it. It was definitely you build it as a courtroom drama, and it definitely was that. I don't. Can we do spoilers for like a 30-year-old book?
Yeah, for sure.
I had definitely thought that it would come out by the end that he was not in fact innocent. That was my guess. So I guess I was close. It ended up being his wife who was the one who is.
It was a good twist because I feel like she was the one I least expected, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely like, could it have been like the son? I forget even how old the son was. Could it have been like.
Yeah, I was like. Almost every other character, you were like. Every kind of different moment of the book, be like, oh, is it them? It would make sense. And then I feel like I never really thought the wife.
Yeah, so recommend to the listeners out there, even though we just spoiled the ending, check it out.
It's a good one because as they're going through the process of like the court case, they like kind of explain to you what's going on, and it's
I know
in real time.
I felt like I could be a lawyer after listening to that.
Exactly.
Actually, this is the thought I had in my head is like, oh man, I should write a courtroom drama. And then I realized that I know nothing about law or courtrooms or any of that stuff, and I also am not a writer, so a few barriers there.
Maybe then you should just do something very illegal, so you could at least have the experience of being in court.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, exactly.
Into some drama.
Starting something without any experience or skill whatsoever, just like the Comic Sense podcast. So here we are, trying new things. Anyway. I liked it. I look forward to your next book recommendation in our book club. Let me know what it is, and I'll give it a listen or a read.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm not reading anything at the moment. I kind of start things and stop because I don't like it that much. But yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Before we get into the NHL, I had mentioned in an earlier podcast that I was looking for something else to be into sports wise that wasn't the Sens, because the Sens were a bit depressing season after season. So just wanted something else to follow. I could never really get into MLB or NBA and football. Like, I just watched the Super Bowl, and then finally along comes the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League, and Ottawa was lucky enough to get a team in the 6-team league. So first season, the season is complete. We're just heading into the playoffs here. Do you know anything about the PWHL or where we are right now?
I know a little bit about it. I know the teams, and I follow kind of like the big news stories, like when they've been selling out big arenas and breaking records for professional women's hockey games and stuff. But yeah, I haven't been following the outcomes of the games or anything like that.
Well, I will say I was definitely entertained. I watched, I would say, more than half of the women's games. Some of them conflicted with other Sens games or other plans that I had, but I watched a good chunk of them. I'd say 70% I probably watched. I went to one as well. I got a jersey, as you can see. And I was looking for a team to not be depressing, and I got a team that was depressing. PWHL Ottawa were, I would say, choke artists this season. So I will say I enjoyed watching them.
Oh my God.
It was nice hockey, but not only did they choke like game by game, like they blew like huge leads in games like constantly. Could not win in overtime. They had so many overtime losses because they kept losing in overtime. But if you look at the second half of this graph here, with 3 games left in the season, PWHL Ottawa, all they had to do was win a game with 3 games left, and they would make it.
No.
They would make the playoffs.
No.
Not only did they lose 3 games, but the teams that needed to win, as you can see, Boston doing their late season push, and even Minnesota, who was on a huge roller coaster slide there, somehow made it on top of Ottawa. So really choked at the end of the season there. I saw it coming from a mile away. As soon as it was like, oh, they only have to win 3 games. Like, no, this team can't close anything out. They're toast. So with that said, they're guaranteed the second overall draft pick for the first draft in the PWHL, but yeah, cool. not other than that, pretty disappointing, I would say.
What's the playoff looking like? What's the scenarios? Like,
so the real
games, how many rounds?
I actually don't know all those details yet, but the one thing I do know, and this is really cool, and I would love the NHL to adopt this, is Toronto, for finishing first in the league, they get to choose if they want to play the 3rd place team or the 4th place team. So the top 4 teams make the playoffs. And they get to choose which team. So they're not automatically going to play the worst team. They get to pick, do we want to play against Boston or do we want to play against Minnesota? And let me tell you something. Toronto is electing to play against Minnesota. A little foreshadowing to what we're going to be talking about later. Did not want to play Boston.
Why not?
I don't know. We'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, really cool. I wish the NHL took on that approach where there's some spicy drama where like the top team could like pick a random team and create an underdog situation or something like that. I think it was really cool. I'll watch some of the playoffs for sure, but disappointed that Ottawa is not making the cut.
I feel like a team being able to choose who they're going to play could make for bigger disappointment and bigger like let's say Toronto was like, well, you know what, we're actually gonna, like, the Leafs picked Boston if they had a choice, and they picked Boston, and then it came back to bite them in the ass. Like,
exactly.
Yeah, it would make for more fun after some series.
Yeah, and speaking about drama, let's get right into it. Should we start with the series that we all want to talk about? I think we will.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Boston Bruins defeating the Maple Leafs in 7 games. So, as you recall, our last episode, we did some predictions.
Yeah.
So as we go through these series, we'll just say if we were right in our predictions. So for this one, Brett, you had Boston in 5 games. And I had Boston in 7 games. The
Wow.
maximum heartbreak pick. I nailed it.
Nailed it.
I mean, Brett, did you have fun with this one?
Um, I think I did have fun because yeah, the back and forth and going 7 games gave like fans a little more hope because they were probably not expecting to do well. They were like, "Oh, it's Boston again." Like this is just, they could see what was going to be coming and like but yeah, and then they get a couple of games and then I will say the games sucked. Like watching the games wasn't very fun.
Especially,
Like
yeah, like game 6 and game 7 when both teams looked so nervous that like neither one of them wanted to lose. Yeah, like
yeah.
neither team was like really trying at all or being effective whatsoever. And yeah, kind of. I don't know if they were boring because I was still so emotionally invested in who would win, but the hockey quality was not good. I don't think.
Yeah, and it didn't like feel like playoff hockey and like and I bet I'm just like biased too because that's like everything that the Leafs would do or like any play that they messed up or like goal that they would let in, I just like thought would suck. Like I don't
Yeah,
know, it's hard to watch the Leafs and have like objective thoughts about the hockey, but
yeah.
yeah, I just don't really like the team. Nothing good about the Leafs team, and like I don't know. I guess it is like it's a bit risky to go full in on the Leafs because like of the Sens and how they're kind of built right now and how much hype that we have around the Sens, and you never know that their like future could be similar to the Leafs where they have all this like high end talent but nothing to back it up and bad goaltending and can't
Yeah.
move past the first round or make the playoffs. So I don't want
So
the Sens to be that way, but
all the conversation now is what should the Leafs do in their off season? And a lot of people saying that someone in the core four needs to get moved. What do you
yeah.
think? What's the solution for them?
I'm kind of curious why Shanahan hasn't been receiving. Well, I guess he has been maybe the past couple of years a little more, but like I feel like they've made so many moves and like even I can't remember when Shanahan took over, but it's been like a decade right now.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, and he has not had success at all in his tenure.
yeah.
So
And he's had different coaches, different GMs, and like that was like probably even before the core came in
yeah,
and like went through like drama with Babcock and Dubas and whatever, this and that. And like, I don't know. I feel like maybe he should go. Like, maybe he's the one that needs to go. Like, the same way in like Edmonton, it was like Kevin Lowe for so many years. And like, he kind of hid from criticism, kind
yeah.
of got that like his history of being an NHL player and you kind of just hide behind like the moves you make. But yeah, that's what I would think. Could be kind of maybe a juicy summer if that happens.
I think so. I think Shanahan will be the first to go, and then we'll see what happens after that. I don't think they'll be able to trade a core four player because I think all the core four has expressed interest in staying, and they have
Yeah,
their no move clauses. Um,
yeah,
and I don't know if you know I don't think Brad Treliving has the cojones to pull off a move like that. So we'll see. I don't know. I'm really curious to see where it lands. I love reveling in the Leafs losing. It was just
me too.
pure bliss to watch. I was having a conversation with
Yeah,
my
run it
mom.
back.
My mom was like, exactly, yeah, don't make any changes. I want to watch it again
Yeah.
next year. Uh, I was talking with my mom about hockey as one does, and she said, "Oh, Jeffrey, uh, but Toronto is a Canadian team. Why aren't you cheering for a Canadian team?" And it's just,
Did you just plug your ears?
hey, look this. Hello, fellow kids. Maybe it's like Kendrick versus Drake. Just because one of them is from Toronto doesn't mean that I don't want them launched into the sun. So I thoroughly enjoyed every minute of Toronto's downfall, and will enjoy it year after year whenever it happens. Any team that plays against them gives me
Yeah,
a
I
rooting
get pretty
interest.
much. Yeah, I could pretty much find a reason to root for any other team. Like, let's say it's the Stanley Cup playoffs. I could just pretend for a bit, like, let's say it's like Dallas versus New York Rangers, where I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I like the Rangers. It'd be cool if they won. And then, Dallas, oh, they haven't won in a while. Like, I don't know. I could find a reason to root for a team in, you know, the only team that I love when they lose and hate
Yeah.
if they win
And
is the Rangers.
I will say this will be my last comment on it is that partway through the Maple Leafs clawing back into this, I thought it wouldn't be awful if they beat Boston because I probably would really enjoy watching Florida versus Toronto. I think
Oh,
just
yeah.
because it would be
You're right.
such a fun series and like Boston, Florida, like I really don't care. But Florida against Toronto, especially with Kachuk and like the dirt he's been slinging around, would have been
Yeah.
so entertaining. But in any case, a first round exit is like the best thing that could ever happen to the
Yeah.
Leafs. So we'll leave it at that.
In game 7, with all the drama with like
Oh yeah.
players
Oh
missing games, the goalie situation, the coach
oh,
saying dumb stuff, and
beautiful.
yeah,
Loved it
power
all.
play being crap, everything being crap.
Loved it all.
They're just
Loved
crap.
yeah, exactly. It's good. Good to watch. And Reeves, 2 more years, and he hardly played. So good stuff. Uh, anything else on that one, or can we move on to the next series
But that's why get a guy like that.
to play one game?
Uh, yeah, let's move on. I don't want to talk about this crap.
All right,
Crap.
these might go a little bit faster. Washington against the Rangers. Did you check this one out?
Nope, I did not.
Well, we both said
Hard to watch all this stuff. I followed and you see what happened, but yeah,
yeah, you and I had both predicted that New York would win in 4 games, and we were both right. So,
yeah, that was a.
pretty like foregone conclusion that New York was gonna smoke.
I was gonna say foregone conclusion.
Oh, wow, simpatico. Uh,
For
oh man, you should write for the Ottawa Sun.
the Beaverton,
Yeah, exactly.
so sarcastic.
Yeah, I caught a bit of this one, but yeah, it was the least exciting of all the series, just because like everyone knew where it was gonna head,
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened. So yeah, not much to say here. Rangers look good, but Washington is just a bad hockey team, so not much to say. All right, then we had the Islanders and the Hurricanes. Brett, you had said that New York Islanders were going to win in 7, and I had said that Carolina wins in 6. So I was off by the number, but correct for the team. This one was unfortunate because I think I was rooting for the Islanders to win, and they just kind of looked real flat and disappointing.
yeah. I mean, I didn't really expect much from the Islanders. I think I just picked them because I just wanted to be fun, and I like them more than Carolina. And would have been cool to see Pajot pull off some playoff magic. That's always fun. Yeah, just I think just kind of talking about Washington and the Islanders, it's like seeing those two not very good teams in the playoffs, and like the Sens can even
Yeah,
reach that level. Like
it's
kind of makes me
disappointing.
just sad about that.
It's disappointing, but like that there's gonna be opportunity next year because yeah, these teams did not look good and they somehow made it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm with you. I was rooting for the Islanders. I think I mentioned last time that I hate Brendan Moore's face, so that's why I wanted them to lose.
I
But
love Brenda Moore.
nah, I don't know.
I said that the last time. Probably exact same thing.
Well, there we go. Let's move on to the next series. We had the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Florida Panthers. I had Tampa Bay in 7, much like you and New York. I was just trying to have a little fun here, unfortunately. You had Florida in 7. You were more right than I was in guessing Florida, but it was a quick series. 4-1 in the end for Florida. What did you think about this one?
I feel like this one, even though it was 4-1, was way closer. Tampa stuck around, and a lot of the games were back and forth, even though like Florida went up 3-0. Um, yeah, Tampa, I feel like just their experience and their players that had played pretty deep into the playoffs, I feel like that got them pretty. They kept them close, but yeah, Florida is clearly the better team.
I feel like Tampa is becoming more and more like, sure, they have Braden Point, but like it's like a Kucherov team. Like Kucherov is just so important to them,
Yeah,
and Florida just like effectively shut them down. And if they did that, they just like won the
yeah,
series very clearly.
yeah,
What was crazy to me was especially the last game was how they were like basically eulogizing Stamkos and saying like this is his last game as a foregone conclusion for Tampa Bay, which is pretty wild. We'll see if that happens and they don't re-sign him because he's UFA, so he could walk as a free agent. It would be
yeah.
pretty crazy to see. I mean, could he sign in Toronto? I don't know. He's a Toronto player. Could that happen?
In Ottawa,
No, no, Brett, no, 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 no.
I just wonder how much he has left in the tank. He had a couple good games, scored some big goals. Can still snipe it. I don't know. I don't watch him that much. I don't know
Yeah, I mean
what his
he'll
skating's like.
he could be useful for any team, like as a power play merchant or whatever, like a Patty Kane, just playing well in
Yeah,
his twilight years. I think he definitely still has value, but may not be with Tampa if that's not what they're looking for. Because
yeah.
like he would be asking for like what, like 10 million. I wouldn't want to pay him 10 million.
Oh, what? No way he's gonna get. I know he, deserved that maybe in some point of his career, but
Well, I could be wrong,
I
but I
don't
think
know. Yeah, who
there's
knows?
quotes in him saying that he was frustrated at the fact that he took a bunch of hometown discounts and maybe he's
Oh,
unwilling to do that any longer. So I don't know. I don't know. Interested to see where this one lands. But yeah, the powerhouse Lightning just don't feel very powerhouse anymore. I
yeah,
would say.
they're on their way out,
Yeah.
definitely.
All right, let's then move on to the West. I will say I tried to watch games in the West, and I told myself, okay, I'm going to watch some of these in bed because they start around 10:30 local time for me, and I would watch like 3 minutes before I'd be dropping the phone on my face.
Yeah, just
But
like
my
a
strategy was
phone right in front of you.
to like try to get as much content as I could for the playoffs was if I would fall asleep and I couldn't finish a game, I would wake up and in the morning I would go to don'ttellmethescore.com or dtmts.com, and they basically show you can watch highlights without knowing the score, so you can kind of in real time see what happens to the game. So I did that with the West Coast games. I'd wake up and have some mini hockey to watch and kind of get that for my recap. So starting with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Dallas Stars. Brett, this was one where we didn't have a guess for how many games because it was one of the ones that it
Oh
was in our
yeah.
speed round. You and I both guessed correctly in that Dallas would win, and it was a 7-game series, a very exciting series at that.
Yeah, it
But
was a
what did
great
you think about
series.
this?
Yeah, I will only catched. I only caught a few periods here and there, but I would have it on in the background too. But yeah, really exciting. And again, I kind of always just have comparisons to the Sens when I'm watching. So like watching this series, it was like this is like a different sport that they're playing. Like so
Yeah.
fast, like such big hits, just like crisp passing, amazing forechecking and cycling, and yeah, Dallas looks
I mean,
good.
not only
Dallas has
watching the
potential.
Sens, but Brett, like watching the East Coast series,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
it just feels like these teams are just on another level completely.
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, either one of these teams could have been a Stanley Cup winner, really.
Yeah, I like
And
Wyatt
yeah,
Johnston. I like a good kind of young rookie guy playing well in the
yeah,
playoffs. Looks
20,
like it's
20 years
always a
old,
fun. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
he's like he looks awesome. Yeah, scoring big goals and like just looks like confident and like not like nervous or anything like that. Like
Yeah, Dallas is a real fun team, and I'm probably going to be rooting for them to do well. But I would have been fine with
Yeah,
Vegas winning. A lot of people hate Vegas, but like I love Mark Stone. I don't have too much hatred for Vegas, but I'm happy to see Dallas win because they have a lot of nice,
yeah,
talented players to watch.
yeah. I don't really like Dallas historically. I've always kind of not liked them, but it was hard to not root for them because, like, yeah, they have lots of fun, like fast, speedy players and like good, fun hockey.
Yeah, yeah. All right, the Colorado Avalanche at the Winnipeg Jets. Now you had guessed Colorado would win in six. I said Winnipeg in six, so you were the victor in this one. I think in our friend group, some chatter going around, everyone was saying that this was Winnipeg's series to win. I don't know. Were we just like really just not giving Colorado their credit? Because
Yeah,
this to me
I think
kind of
that's
looked
what it was.
this was like a shit kicking.
Yeah,
Winnipeg looked terrible. Colorado
yeah,
looked real good in all these games.
yeah,
And Colorado to me is making a case to be a cup favorite at this point. The way they played,
yeah,
uh, yeah, not looking good for Winnipeg.
yeah. I guess Hellbuck, or whatever, didn't have a very strong series, so I feel like that was kind of it for Jets. If their best player, it's like one of those teams that their best
Yeah,
player is a goalie. It's kind of hard to go far
yeah, yeah, for sure.
if
Especially,
they
yeah, if you look at the scores here, like Colorado had no challenge scoring. Like
yeah,
it was
yeah,
pretty easy from game one to get goals against on them. So
yeah,
it was an exciting series, though. I did catch a couple of these because I think some of them were in Eastern time watchable. But yeah, unfortunately, a Canadian team out and Colorado moving on. But Colorado's a fun team to watch, so looking forward to
yeah.
seeing
I
more of
love
them.
McKinnon. McKinnon's on a mission, man.
Talking about falling asleep while watching hockey, I present to you the Nashville Predators and Vancouver Canucks. Holy shit. Has there ever been a more boring series than this? Other than the late game heroics in game four, where Vancouver scored twice late and then in overtime, I think.
And then Game 7, same. Like
Yeah,
the last or Game 6, I guess. Yeah.
but like, man, oh man, was it just me or are these games painful to watch?
It was really bad to
Yeah,
watch. And like I watched every game. I went out a few nights to watch it with friends. And I would say just because I was in the bar with a bunch of Canucks fans, it was exciting because it was very like tense
yeah,
and like you could just feel like how tense it was with like the Canucks even were like, gripping their stick too tight and like missing nets, making an extra pass and like so yeah, I watched this one the most and Nashville, I feel like if they were able to pull it out against uh Vancouver, they were not going to go far. Like
yeah.
their strength was blocking shots and like the trap basically, and it was they were not like their players were just going to be like losing limbs at some point. Like it like
Yeah, like
50 blocks a game and stuff. It was like
yeah, like I purely
game
blame
two.
Nashville for how boring it
Oh
was,
yeah,
just their style.
yeah,
But yeah, it sucked. Really happy that Vancouver won, like you said, so we don't have to watch any more Nashville games.
yeah,
And I think next series will be far more exciting for Vancouver. But
yeah,
we did have the storyline of both Vancouver's goalies going down, and
yeah.
and
Seeloff looked good though.
yeah, the third string like coming in clutch. Like I
He
loved
looked
like when Vancouver won their games and just like you could see the look in his face, like how stoked he was and how
yeah.
stoked his like team was for him.
I think he has
That
the
was really
right
cool.
personality for that. Like he seems like fun and funny and like he's not too nervous or anything. He's just kind of like maybe a bit like cocky kind of dude.
Yeah,
Like he's up for the challenge. And what was I gonna say? Yeah, I don't think Vancouver has the like scoring firepower to like easily beat a team like Nashville,
yeah,
but I think going up against the next round that we'll get to is I think it'll be like a little more open. They can use their speed and skill a little more, which will be just better for the fans to watch.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. For this one, you and I had both said Vancouver in 7, so we were both wrong on the number, but both right on the team.
Close.
So yeah. All right, last series. This one, pretty fun one, and pretty interesting in my mind because Edmonton against Los Angeles. Edmonton really showing flashes of could they be a contender this year? Are they for
Yeah.
real?
Yeah.
We didn't have a game estimate on this one because it was one of our speed run ones, but we had both said Edmonton as the victors here. We were both correct. Not much to say here. Edmonton looks like they can score.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. They can score goals. It was exciting. McDavid is and Draisaitl are right there in it. So yeah, they look good.
Yeah. Probably like the best power play ever. And then they were also 12 for 12 on the PK. And like, yeah, just I watched a lot of these games, or like I would flip over to it a lot. And yeah, just how big they are up front is like pretty menacing. Like there was a
Yeah,
few times watching highlights where they show the view from behind LA's net, and just seeing like how fast McDavid comes, and then like Kane's big, and then Draisaitl's big, Hyman's like not a small guy, like Perry's kind of big. Like they just come with like speed with like really big guys. It's like they're kind of set up for a long playoff run if they can get good goaltending, and if their D is like solid, which I think it's been the most solid. It's the most solid that it's been in like ever.
so I got a question for you then.
Yeah,
Hypothetical: Edmonton wins the cup.
yeah.
McDavid obviously passes the cup to CC first. Who does CC pass the cup to second?
Uh, hmm. It's a good question. I guess Perry's one, so they wouldn't hand it to him. Maybe the goalie,
I just
depending on how he plays.
CC just skates off the ice with it. It's his.
Take it straight back to Orleans,
He's taking
Ontario.
it
Meet
back.
me in the St. Pete's parking lot.
I'd go. I'd show up to his Stanley
Oh
Cup
my
day. Are
god,
you
yeah,
kidding
I
me?
would too. That'd be fun if you
It'd be the
did. That'd
best.
be awesome. No, they'd probably go to like Wasaga Beach or something.
Yeah, somewhere fun. All right, so with that, then I have our final scores. If you got a drum roll, Brett, you had 6 wins, 2 losses, and 1 exact guess.
Oh, that's extra point.
I had 6 wins, 2 losses, and 2 exact guesses.
Oh,
Yeah, tight. It was tight. It was tight.
dang. Well,
Yeah, good for us.
that's
We're
not bad though.
smarter at hockey than we think we are. I have a bracket pool. You know, the NHL bracket, whatever that they
Oh
do.
yeah, yeah.
I have a pool like that going on at work, and I think it's like I thought I did extraordinarily well in my bracket guesses, and I think I had one series wrong in my actual bracket. I think there's like 4 people who predicted the first round entirely correct. It was maybe just a very predictable like first round
Yeah,
in terms of
was.
hockey, unfortunately. But maybe I think
Especially in
things
the
are going to
East.
get but things are going to get a little spicier. I think so. Let's go through and power through some predictions for the second round of the playoffs. Okay, first up we have the Florida Panthers against the Boston Bruins. What's your guess?
Um, I think I might have had a harder time picking this earlier in the Boston Toronto series. Boston looked pretty good. They got 2 awesome goalies, but they kind of took their foot off the gas a bit. And as bad as Toronto was, they couldn't beat them, and they looked pretty bad. So I'm going Florida in 5.
I think Boston looked really bad against Toronto. Um, they prevented Toronto from scoring, sure, but maybe that was just Toronto being Toronto. I'm going to go ahead and be a bit bold here, and I'm going to say Florida in 4. It's going to be a sweep. And they're actually playing right now. I haven't checked the score of the game. If
Oh
Boston's
shit!
winning, then I'll be upset. But I'll lock it in, even though I don't.
9-0. Ah!
Even though I don't know the score of that game, I will say it's going to be a sweep for Florida. So, all right, game number 2, which we already saw game 1, but you and I locked in our predictions before the game happened. New York against Carolina, the Rangers against the Hurricanes. I'm going to go the Rangers in 7.
Yeah, and I said Rangers in 4, right?
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
I
went for
found
the
that to be
really
a
bold take.
spicy take. So you're not out of it yet because the Rangers won game 1. But I think it's going to be a back and forth series. I think.
Yeah, it was. It started off like Z-Bad looked amazing. It was up 3-1. I was like, oh yeah, they're sweeping. But then Carolina showed some push, came back a bit, and yeah, it's a fun series.
Nice, nice. I'll be watching
I
that
don't
one for
care
sure.
either way, to be honest, who wins. But it's as like just watching hockey, it will be exciting at least.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'll be. I think all the series this round are great, but I'll be watching that one for sure. Okay, moving on to the West, we have Colorado Avalanche against the Dallas Stars. What's your guess?
Hmm. I'm gonna go with Dallas. I'm gonna go with Dallas in 7. Gonna go long again.
All right, I'm gonna go muy caliente with this one. I'm gonna say
Whoa.
Colorado. I'll say in 6. I'm not bold enough to say less than 6, but I think Colorado is gonna win in 6.
Yeah.
This to me
It
is
could go
like again another just top tier series. I can't wait
juggernauts.
to see
Yeah.
who wins out of this one. All right, and then last up we have the all Canadian matchup. So the bad news is one Canadian team's gonna have to get kicked out. The good news is we have at least one Canadian team moving on to the West Finals. So Edmonton and Vancouver. Still don't know for sure the goalie situation in Vancouver, but what do you think for this series?
I think this one's probably the hardest to predict because of Edmonton playing LA and Vancouver playing Nashville. Like, not really sure how bad Nashville really was. Like, because like there were a lot of games where Vancouver like had 85 shot attempts. They were dominating the whole game, and a couple breakdowns, then they lose the game because Saros is really good. And then yeah, LA kind of got spanked by Edmonton, but they're not that great. So it's
Yeah.
hard to say how they'll match up. So this is just kind of a guess, but yeah, I think this is Edmonton's year to go to the conference finals. Yeah, Edmonton in 6. I think it'll be 6.
All right. Well, we're gonna have a lot of similar predictions. I'm gonna say Edmonton in 5. I think
Ooh.
Vancouver's situation with the injuries are gonna catch up to them, and I think Edmonton's just gonna roll right through. So that's my guess. Probably the series I'm most interested in, and the one that'll be the hardest for me to watch because, like I said, I fall asleep at 10 p.m.
Yeah.
But I'll try to catch as much as I can of that one, and I think that maybe starts tomorrow. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to watching that one.
No, it's that one starts on the 8th.
All right. So second round. We'll come back when the second round is done, hopefully, and we'll do a subsequent round of predictions. I have the slight edge over you right now in our predictions, but it's anyone's game at this point.
Yep.
Uh, should we
Sh-
put a wager? What's the wager?
um, should we do put money on it, or should like it be like somebody wears something really ridiculous for a podcast
What
episode?
like a PWHL jersey?
No, like I don't know, naked
I'm
or
just kidding.
like
By the way, they did fine. They did fine. Okay, they just really choked all season.
I heard they're choke artists.
That's what I said. I stand by it. Next year, they'll do better
Um,
next year.
how about I'll buy you a 6-pack of BC's finest uh, brewery, 6-pack of BC's finest beer, and then you buy me a 6-pack of Ontario's finest beer.
I'll buy you the latest Drake mixtape after he wins his epic rap battle.
I'll buy you
Ontario's finest.
I'll just bring you back a glass of the tap water because it's straight from the mountains.
Sounds good to me. All right.
I was gonna say, this could be like edited in between, but should we react to Travis Green, or is that not confirmed?
Oh, yeah, Travis Green. Look, I have nothing to say about that. Honestly, nothing to say. I don't care until the season starts. I'm not gonna overreact and say like that was the dumbest move ever. And like none of us were in the hiring process or in any of those meetings to have any opinion at all about this. That is all I want to say about that.
Okay, but I will say that feeling is a symptom of a lot of bad stuff happening to the Sens.
Sure.
And if they were really good, and then this was like one move they made that was questioning, like we would be criticizing it, I'm sure. But I think we're kind of just sick of criticizing and jumping to like judgment. And yeah, I don't know. On first glance, I didn't even know he was being like interviewed. So he wasn't even in the list of like 6 or 7 that I was like expecting to hear about. So hopefully that means he said something good, or like, you know, I don't know, they're not going to be hiring a temporary guy, but like, you know, like maybe Alfie stays on as assistant and Jock will be there, and like it was somebody to implement Jock's system or something, you know what I mean? Like that sort of thing. So yeah. Who knows?
Who knows? And I'm really gonna, I think, just have to reserve opinion until we see it in action and see how it works. Because like we really have no idea how it's all gonna work. And you're probably right. I'm probably being defensive about this because of the long history of bad decisions by the organization.
Just how like kind of circle jerky it could get with complaining about the moves and online and everyone thinking they know everything. It is annoying, but
what you say? That you only meant well, cause you did. What you say?
All right, we'll call it there. Thanks everyone for joining. That's the podcast on round 2 of the playoffs, predictions, round 1 overview. I get final say in saying that it was an okay coaching hire because we have no clue how it's going to turn out, and we weren't in the room for the hiring process. So we'll call it there. Thanks for joining, Brett. I look forward to your BC tap water. I will drink it all, and we'll see you all next round of the playoffs. Catch you later.